Okay, here's our base coat of our orange, sort of off orange for the hydrogen tank, and we have a gloss white on our boosters. And yeah, we're just laying down this basic coat. So we primed it, gave it like a mottled prime coat, and now I'm just working up the orange with thin coats. Now it's pretty heavily thinned, and we're just working our way up to what I think is giving us a pretty good color. So we'll keep going around and we'll get this set, and then we'll be able to get it, let it dry and get it in a clear coat. So it seemed like a good spot to take a break and take a look at what we got here. So I've got the clear coat on our orange. It's pretty done. Now I noticed that this band across here with this ribbing is lighter. There's like a lighter band, so I think we'll get this masked off and we'll lighten this area here and this door, and I think this detail comes down, but we can hand paint, we can brush that. So I think we'll get this masked off. And now I did have a mishap. I forgot I used a spray can for the white, and then after I hit it with a clear coat and I got a bit of this cracking here, it got really hot and started to crinkle up, shrink, and I got a bit of damage. That was way worse when it was drying, but yeah, I took a bit of damage here and there. So I think I'll give this a light sand, but I started to just pick out some panels here and there. So I think I'll carry on doing that. I think I'll give this a little sand, and I'll get some panels masked in, and I'll just touch these up, because once it dried, it's not as bad as it was when it was drying. So I think I'll be able to sort these out. So we're gonna give these a little sand now that they're dry. They've dried overnight, and I'll get these sanded out a little bit, and we'll touch up where they need them, and then we can start applying our decals, which I have here. There's all these stripes to apply, and let's see, these ones here. So yeah, we got to add all the bands along here, and there's like the thrusters, I think these up here, so or whatever these are. So that'll get those done. We'll get those touched up and deckled. As you can see, we took some damage, so we'll get that sorted out. Our main tank, we'll get this masked out, and we will get the lighter color painted in this area, and then that will be pretty well done. And we have our base, our launch pad is now assembled. It was kind of warpy, but we got it pretty well sorted out, I think. It's fairly straight. So we'll get a coat of primer on that right now, and we'll get this painted, And we can get this painted and weathered. We can get this painted and weathered. We can get these touched up, deckled, and pin wash on them. We've got our struts here that we can add to the fuel tank. So we've got these can get a clear coat and they can get a pin wash. And that gets us basically as far as we can go. Now the shuttle itself and the shuttle. So seams are, I think it's about as good as we can get them. And now I'm just waiting for my heat gun to come so that I can get this rear thing sorted, get this straightened out, which is going to need some heat. So we're really just waiting on my heat gun for this. I can't really go much further, so we're going to have to set this aside until we can get that sorted. So we'll push on with this, and hopefully while we're getting this finished, our heat gun comes and we can carry on with our shuttle. So let me get these sorted, get the decals on, and I guess these some parts assembled, and we'll get a glue on it, and we'll take a look at our progress and see how far we can go. Well, it seemed like a good time to bring you in on the action. We've got our base primed and blank, and we're just going around and doing some pre-fading, I guess you'd call it. And then we'll start putting our base color on, which I think I'm going to go with this, which is a light sea gray. So we'll start with that. So yeah, here we go. Now I did glue this. Oh, it keeps wanting to break off. I had to make this pin was broken off here, so I stretched a piece of sprue. I got it to the same diameter, and I've glued it on, but it keeps breaking, so I'm going to use some crazy glue. I'll just stick it in here for now so we can glue it back on. But for now, I'll just carry on with this pre-fading and we can get that done. So yeah, basically I'm just going around and I'm using deck tan. Again, just using deck tan for that. And yeah, just sort of highlighting the panels. Each one a little bit. I'm getting a bit of spit here. Actually, I just had supper, so I let my airbrush sit for a bit with the paint in it, and yeah, it seems to be. Just back boil that a bit. That ought to help. All right. There we go. That's a little better. And I'm just highlighting the centers of these panels and around the high points, just to set the sort of tones, highlights and stuff for the base underneath the base coat. I kind of like doing this actually. It's an easy technique, but it's effective. And now I'm just sort of running across these hoses, sort of highlight them, bringing out these, whatever they are on the ends. Dust the insides of these to bring out a little bit of detail that they're really good. Side shots. Kind of shoot down at the tracks, sort of bring out the ridges. fur. All right. I'll carry on with this, and we'll come back and get the base coat on. Alright, well, that gets us a pretty good, I think, underlay for our base color. I think I'm going to leave this deck tan that's in here, and we'll introduce our XF25 light sea gray. Now, I've already pre-thinned this, so we should be pretty good to go straight in. Let's see. This one should be clean. Get a pipette here. There we go. I'm going to put a fair bit in there. There we go. And I think I'm going to go ahead and add a bit of thinner. I think that ought to get us there. Let's give this a stir. Make sure we got it mixed up good. I think this will give us kind of a good base gray. Kind of introduce a little bit of a blue tone from that white and the big rust color, orange sort of color of the hydrogen tank. We'll see how it works. Not that we know what we're doing, we just go by eye and figure out what we think we like. So don't take anything that I do as anything that's correct. Okay, let's start laying our base color on. A couple of drops of stuff on there, fuzz and whatnot. I might as well start on the side. So we'll get our gray. There comes our gray. All right. Let's get this. Just gonna go up and down a little bit. It's fitting on my project. I just want this to look big, monolithic, giving it some sort of sense of that it's large. Another little fuzz thing stuck on here. Erg. A little bit of fuzz stuck right here. Oh, come on. Where's my good tweezers here? There we go. There's a tenacious little bug. There. Okay. Yeah, I'm kind of liking this color. A bit of that streaking effect underneath. I'm not so worried about the tracks. I think we'll do them with something else. Okay, yeah, that's working. For me, anyways. You can tell me what you think in the comments below if you wish. Good lord, I got all kinds of fuzzy stuck on here for some reason. Okay, here we go. lay a nice thin coat over here. Let that pre-fading sort of show through a little bit. Yeah, I find that deck tan is a nice color to use for this kind of thing. Sort of adds a bit of palette or whatever. It's not white. It's not gray. There we go. Looking pretty good. Back side here. Pardon for the compressor. I'm just using a little mini compressor at my bench. So we're going to be getting set up in the next week on our booth and in our paint room here. So bear with me. We're always improving. This takes us a little longer than other people sometimes. Alright, here we go. A nice thin coat. Sort of bluish gray. Nice navy color. Yeah, look at that. Not having ever been there to see what it looks like in person. Around this back side here. Alright, that looks pretty good. Got a little bit of that streaking effect going underneath along the bottom here. I like that. Alright, let's get this top painted in. Try and give it as thin a coat as I can. I want it to look like it's been well used. There's little fuzzies stuck on here. Yeah, for a little fuzzy. Wait. Okay, there we go. I think I'll give that a little bit of a rub. This is probably... There. Should I fill this maybe? Maybe I should. Let's do it right now, shall we? Get in there, you. Okay. Let's moisten this. Wipe it right out. Hopefully I can get most of it to stay in there. A little bit came out. Ah, poop. Alright. That'll do, donkey. That'll do. Yeah, we should probably let it dry, but nah. Nah, so we won't wait for it to dry. Okay, here we go. That gets our base coat on this, our launch platform, and I think that's looking actually pretty cool. Looks like I got all these little fluffs brushed off it. There we go. Maybe take a little bit of love right there. This little nub. Let's not get there. Yeah, I'm not sure how much weathering to add to this thing. I think I'm going to add a little bit of dry brushing and stuff to it to pretty good. Definitely variation in the shade of the color is definitely working. Spots of oh, yeah, that was pretty abusive. All right. There, okay, I think that's good. Yeah, bit of left. I can dump it right in here. There we go. Waste not, want not. And I usually give my paint pot a little swab out with thinners. And just yeah, put it all back in there. So that is our XF, nice color, XF25 light sea gray. I know I've used it before on something, but I think it looks pretty good on our launch base. All right, well, I'm going to clean up my airbrush here and we'll get her prepped for the light color. The light color for this band here on our fuel tank. So we'll get this taped, masked out, and we'll get ready to go on that. Ooh, what's this? Oh, white spot. Definitely gonna have to touch up the colors here and there. I got a couple chips here and there though. But when you come back, I'll have this ready and prepped, and we'll get the light color on here. And then we can start putting all of our decals on of our booster rockets. So I'll get cleaned up and we'll be right back. All right, well, we're just picking out some panels here, and I've mixed up a lighter color and just sort of picking out these panels here and there, sanding little bits down so it looks like it's been repaired and stuff, right, just like that. So I'm just going to keep painting these in, and we're going to do this band right here and the nose, the top of the nose, I think, too. So yeah, just sort of fading these in into this lighter color. I guess I could bring it down here, zoom in. There we go. Get you a good look at it here. So, yeah, and just lightly going in with a thin coat. And just sort of creating a variation in tones for these panels, and there we go. That's about all I'm doing. Okay, now we can do this big one. This is pretty big, so I guess the best way to come at it is going to be from the side. So. Come along the tape line. Feather it in. I like this inconsistency you're kind of getting with the colors here. It gives it a sense of scale, I think. Ever so slightly. So lighten this area up. So I noticed in all the pictures this band is considerably lighter, so might as well get the suggestion of it anyways. Ooh. Alright. Gets this all the way around. Pretty good. A little white dot there. Fade here in a bit. Sort of ghost in some fading around these bands here. Here and there, sort of bring out a little bit of a highlight. Ever so slight. Bring out a little repair to the tank. Alright, let's do the top. I'm going to start here with our little repair. Oh. Put some primer on there. Let this sort of work on its own. Just sort of let the light and the colors just sort of do their thing. I sanded a bit here too. I wanted to get some sort of streaks coming down. Give it that look of old steel. Repair. Yoink. Let's come down from the top here. Alright. Okay. I think we got all of our masked areas done. Okay, I think we can peel this off. Take a look and see what we got. Gently here. There we go. It's looking pretty good. Just get this over here in the corner. I should probably get all of these here. Okay. All right. Okay, there we go. So Our two different colors. I think once I get a clear coat over top all of this, it'll help amalgamate everything, sort of homogenize it. Yeah, well, it's a learning process. You try something, see how, but yeah, it's the first time I've really kind of done this kind of thing. Almost like an Aztecing sort of idea. I'm going to do the same thing with the booster rockets. I gave them another spray because I had to sand it down from our mess up with the clear coat. So I got that sort of sanded down. It still looks a little bit knocked around, but you know, I think it lends to the drama of the subject. But I gave him a couple coats of the white Tamiya. He's X2, and it's just drying now. And I think I'll introduce some light, like just a bit of a gray, and get an off-white, and sort of pick out the couple panels just to break it up a bit too. Again, now that I've painted over the stuff that I did. But that's what being a student's all about. Trial and error. Do the best you can. If it doesn't work out, well, try it again. I'd like to thank my friend Cheryl Ann for giving me this kit. It was years ago when I first started building. She had this kit, I guess it had been given to her by her dad, who was a model builder. English, they're very English, and I guess his career of model building was older because he was getting into his late 80s, or 80s anyways. And she gifted it to me, so which I thought was very nice of her, and it hadn't been started. There was also an Enterprise kit that had been started that I tried to monkey with, but it didn't work out so good. So that ended up, I think, in the bin. It might be in a scratch build tub somewhere with the rest of the wayward misfit models. Okay, so this piece of tape off. There we go. Okay, there we have it. Okay, that breaks it up a bit. There, back out so we can get the whole thing in there. Okay, there we go. So we got some panels here at the bottom. Got a part panel here up the side. That band is lighter now. We got the top is looking a little bit different. Okay, I'm happy. I've achieved this sort of, you know, instead of being just one solid color, I'm kind of liking this. Okay, we'll let this dry, and I'll get another clear coat on it. And I think I'm going to add a couple very small decals around on here. I know there aren't any markings on it that I can see, but I just want to do it anyway, so I'm going to. And I think I might do some on the rockets too, near the bottom maybe. But, okay, well, there's a good look at our tank. And we still have our struts here. They've been painted. So we can set this aside for now. Get this white sealed up. And yeah, I guess next we'll be on to these. So now that we've it's opened up a bit, I should get some glue on there maybe. Yeah, I suppose I could. I'll just hold these. Okay, well, let me glue this down, and then we'll move along here again with the booster rockets. So here, I'll hold this while you're gone. When we come back, we'll I think we will mask out some Aztecing on these, and we'll spray in some panels. Well, here it is so far. Our, I guess, quasi-complete. It doesn't have a clear coat on it yet, although I'm not sure. I think it's too late to try and remove these decals. They were really bad. I didn't bother filming the decal application because, yeah, that's what happened to most of them. Yellow ones, everything was breaking apart. They just deteriorate, fall right apart. So I don't know what's going to happen. I'm going to try and pre-soften these. Seem to work a little bit on some of them if I pre-soften them with the Microsol or the Mark Fit. But I don't know. We'll see. I think I'm going to have to mask off some of this stuff here. We'll see what I can salvage, what I can get to work for the rest of the decals for the shuttle itself, which is still here. Our heat gun looks like it might be coming tomorrow. I hope it does, so we can carry on. But this is what we were able. We'll take wins and losses and draws, and I'd consider this a draw. Some of the things we tried worked out all right. The base doesn't look too bad. We haven't got a clear coat on it yet, and I still have to paint the supports for the shuttle itself. But yeah, we've got the rockets basically assembled. We've got them put here. We've got our boosters on the sides. We've got this, I'm not sure what this is, some sort of a overflow vent type thing, I guess, off gassing or something, I guess, but we got it on there. Got our brackets to hold the shuttle, and yeah, it's basically the way it's gonna look on our shelf behind our space shuttle. So the decals were a real pain. I added some placards along the bottom, you can kind of see there, just to sort of make some interest, and I painted in some different things, and I know it's not accurate to any degree, so it's really just for interest's sake. But Johnson, it's a giant. But yeah, anyone who saw the Austin Powers movie, we've been joking about that all week. My buddies have been teasing me. I've been working on this thing here, and they keep teasing me that, well, for obvious reasons. But yeah, anyways, that's as far as we've been able to get so far with the space shuttle Discovery or Endeavour or whatever you choose to make it. But that's our fuel boosters, our fuel rocket pod, and our boosters, and our launch pad. So I'm going to wait for the heat gun before I go any further. I'm going to wait before I go any further till I get my heat gun. So I think the next episode will be me unboxing a small project that we can get started on, and probably get it started and finished within the time that I have before my heat gun comes, and I can carry on with the shuttle. So until next time, I'm the model student, and we'll be starting something new. So if you're interested, keep an eye out for that. And then as soon as I can, we'll carry on with the Endeavour, the space shuttle build, and see what we can get to come out of the shuttle itself. Well, it's been a bit of a struggle, this kit, but I don't mind. That's what modeling's all about, learning how to make things get over the humps and get through the problems. So anyways, I'll have a review on this kit. I'll kind of cover all the problems that I had to solve, all the issues that I came up with, and little solutions that I used to try and make it a better model than it was originally turning out to be. So until next time, see ya.